Afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's SLT Insights session. My name's Lucy and I'm part of the AQA Training and Events team. I am joined today by Ben Galvin, the AQA Account Manager, and also our main speaker today, Vicky Bryant. So Vicky is the Vice Principal at Cardinal Newman College, an institution recently rated outstanding by Ofsted. With a track record of driving exceptional results, Vicky will share proven strategies that have transformed outcomes in key areas, from English and maths resits to elevating underperforming departments. She will also delve into how targeted staff CPD and examiner expertise have fueled their success. So just a couple of quick housekeeping notes for everybody before we get started. Today's slide deck will be shared with all of you after the session closes. And while you would notice that cameras and microphones are disabled, please use the chat function throughout for any questions or comments. And with that, I would like to hand over now to Vicky. Thank you, Vicky.
Hello everyone. I just thought I would just tell you a little bit about Cardinal Newman. I know I've probably worked with some of you, but some of you may not even know that the college exists. So we're a Catholic college, a comprehensive sixth form college, and we have over 4,400 students. We're mainly a level 3 provider, so we have 2,000 students on our A levels. We have 1,000 students on our BTEC courses. And what we also offer are mixed programmes where students do a mix between the A-level and the BTECs, and we have over 1,100 students doing those. We offer one T-level in early years, and we also have a small foundation learning department. We offer small level 2, so we do our maths and English GCSE resit, and we offer a level 2 in business and health. So it's a wide, broad curriculum. And we are in a ward of Preston that's poor, but we recruit from the poorest areas and also some of the more affluent areas as well. We have been rated outstanding by Ofsted, and currently, the week before Easter, we're now in the Ofsted pilot, so we're trialling the new framework. And I would say one of the things, or why we're successful, is not necessarily just the processes, which I'm sure you all have in place. I might not even go through anything today that is revolutionary, but what inspectors picked up on last time and this week is our culture and our ethos and the way that we treat staff. So we're not a minute counting organisation, and we really believe that even though we've got high expectations, that we should trust our staff and be flexible where possible. We've got a really flat structure, so we have over 400 staff, but we don't have layers of management. So we've got 3 curriculum SLT and 1 finance member, and then we make our heads of department accountable for their areas, and we don't have faculty heads, so that the SLT are aware of the issues that are happening in college. We also timetable our staff to 4 blocks, and we give each of those the highest numbers possible, and that frees staff time then so that they come do what we call curriculum plus, which are like extra tutorials and sessions, so that they can stretch the top end, but also support at the lower end. And again, I'm sure what I go over today you'll be doing, or you'll have various ways of doing it, but I just thought I would talk you through our quality assurance and our approach, and then our CPD, and then some of the things we've done for our maths and English GCSE. I'll try and keep up to date with the chat, but if I miss anything, I'll answer all the questions at the end. Okay, so I'll start with the quality assurance and the process there. So Lucy, please may you just move on to the next one for me. Cheers, thank you. So just an oversight of our quality assurance process. Again, like most of you, we get the results in August, and one of the key things that we do is work with exam boards to resolve any issues. We have a policy that we will pay for any reviews of marking where a student is within 3 marks of their next grade. And we do that every year for all courses. And then we are prepared to challenge if we get those reviews back and they're not what we thought. And that has been really successful over the last couple of years in identifying issues and working with exam boards to make any changes or get the support we need for our courses. And then the rest of the bits I will talk over. So the first thing is our course review, our subject course reviews. So we ask our staff to come and meet myself and the principal, and they bring their enhanced results from the exam boards, along with a common data sheet, which I'll show you in a second. And really that meeting is focused on data and the performance of the department and any issues that we might see. So here is a picture of the common data sheet, and we try and capture all the department data on there. So you've got your internal and external retention, because we want to know the picture, even though we only have to report external retention. We report on gender, our bursary, BME, LLDD, and we're looking for any trends. Now, obviously, I've shown you an example of a really good department here. This is our biology department. And we will also, you'll see there on the data, we have something called SPOCs. And our SPOCs are our student perception of course. So that's what our students are saying about their class. So we have everything we need on that one sheet. We actually have, we use Power BI. So if we want to delve into that more, we can, and we can do that live with the heads of department. And yeah, I can share an example of that. It should be in the slides as well that gets sent. So there, again, this is such a good department, but then we would be asking questions like there you can see, and I know it's small, but one of the classes has only got 18.2% A star to A compared to other classes that have got 66%. So I'd be asking what's gone on there. Was it the first time perhaps that teacher had been teaching the year 13? Was there any support? Were there any issues within the class? Is there anything we need to do that the staff need to think about for their QIP when they come to meet us at the self-assessment review? So like I said, staff don't need to prepare. They don't need extra paperwork. They're just bringing that common data, the enhanced results analysis, and then we prepare for the self-assessment review and what will form the QIP. So then the member of staff will write their SAR. I know I've seen in other colleges, these vary across the sector. We ask that our staff just do a maximum of 3 sides of A4, no more than that, and that the real focus is on the quality improvement plan, what the targets were last year, what progress have they made on them, and then what are the targets this year, because we want that to be shared with the department and to have at least termly updates on that. The SAR, again, like many of you, we have a panel. So we have myself, the principal, a governor and a critical friend. So that might be an ex-principal of a college or an ex-Ofsted inspector who will look over that SAR and the data as well. And then that should feed into people's PMRs and any subject actions. What we will say there as well, if any department is underperforming, we will say to them that they're on our process called support and challenge. And this has been a really, really successful area of where we feel we've made real developments across the college over the last couple of years. So support and challenge, I'm not going to lie and say that everyone is delighted when we say to them that they're on support and challenge. And we do it for various reasons. So it might be a performance reason. There might be too many differences in classes and not consistency across the board. It could be to do with SPOCs or it could be to do with a curriculum change, so a new exam board, etc. Or, you know, they're a support area with a new head of department, but usually there is a link to performance. So we never have a one size fits all approach to this, and we try and get staff on board. So what will happen there is that the head of department and myself will have a meeting, and we will discuss the process of what's going to happen. Everyone in the department will have to have an observation. There's going to be some work scrutiny. We're going to ask the staff questions. We're going to ask the students questions. There'll be a head of department meeting with myself where I'll just ask them specific questions. And then I'll write a report. And then from that report, I will put in the actions, and those actions need to form part of the QUIP. Now, like I said, you know, staff aren't at first like, oh, this is brilliant, but we tend to work well with staff, and they, you know, they might say, oh, listen, Vicky, please don't come and do it at this point because we've got all our coursework marks, etc. And we will make sure we come at a timely space in that first half term. So we can get things, you know, we want this to be impactful, but we'll work with them and when's good for them and what lessons to see, and, you know, what work to see, even though we do want to see a range in that department. I would say we've had real successes. So we've had departments within a year move from like ALPS 6 to ALPS 2 with some of the things that we've put in place. So we've, sorry, I'll just move on. So we have individual actions for each department, and that's going to range depending on what the issues are. So it could be that some of them have a teaching and learning mentor or sessions done by the teaching and learning team, but some of them can be quite like innovative. So, for example, one department this year was struggling with some of their staffing and also their CP sessions. So I've worked with a local university, one of the Sutton 30, and we've employed 8 of their undergraduates, and their undergraduates come 3 or 4 times a week to do extra support sessions with our students. Now, we've done this for the last 6 weeks, and the students have come to seek me out to say this has been absolutely amazing. You know, the difference that it's making to their exam prep is brilliant. So it was something that, you know, we wouldn't do that for every department, but it felt like that would be an appropriate action and came through the support and challenge action plan. We usually get the assistant head to be involved in the process and agree on any actions, and also focus on the changes that have the biggest impacts, because sometimes you'll go into a department and you can see quite a few things that need changing, but often when you present someone with an impossible list, they lose track of those that are going to have the biggest impact. So I'd say I focus on 4 or 5 things that are really going to change the results that year, and then once those changes have been made, we can look at the smaller things to get better in the following years. I've said there to understand some of the complexities of the issues. And one of the departments we looked at was history. History was on one of our support and challenge subjects a couple of years ago. And it took a while to get to the bottom of what was going on, because we have students who do history with a really high GCSE point score. When we looked at the curriculum, because of the amount of units that are available to this course and the units we picked, it meant we'd narrowed our field against our competitors, if you will. So even though history is a popular A level, there's so many different combinations that they can do. If you pick a couple of the wrong ones, then you're only competing against small numbers. And the ones we were competing against tended to be private schools and colleges. So our ALPs were never going to go to past a certain point. And so we had to think then, well, how are we going to get the results better for our students? And that might mean that you have to think about changing exam boards or changing the units that you offer in those subjects. So we've done quite a lot of that with our subjects, and that's only been something I think that's come to light since the pandemic, because specs changed and then we had all our different grading over the pandemic, and then we only realised some of these issues with specifications and where centres have gone over the last 2 years. Other things could be where we changed coursework. So some of our subjects weren't finishing their course until what I thought was too close to the exam. So they didn't have time for exam skills and exam prep, and too much time was being spent on coursework that's only worth 20%. So it was working with the head of department to change the curriculum, put support in place, more IT facilities, so that coursework could be done a lot earlier and turned around a lot earlier, so more focus could be done on the exam. So some of it might be that, they want support from me with exam boards or buying resources, but you end up like working together. And last year, like I said, we've had departments move several ALPS grades in 1 year. Also, staff have always said at the end, they really did value the process. So, it wasn't a formal, like you're on capability, this is a formal process put on you. And because of the way we went about it, staff said, actually, could you stay with us for an extra year to make sure we have got everything we need in place and check that there's nothing we can do to get even better. So I feel that's been a real positive. And I think in the college, we've probably done support and challenge now with 14 subjects. So, and some of those needed it more than others. Some of those subjects were just coasting and probably needed just a push up to the next level. I also think praise where appropriate. One of our departments was absolute, like I thought, God, I'm going to find loads here. And I went in and they were absolutely brilliant. And again, it had been an exam board issue. We worked out what we needed to do, and the team had done everything. The lessons were great, the support for students was great, the work experience, opportunities in the department. So I couldn't fault them. So I wasn't going to try and find something just for the sake of it. It was just to say, well done, keep going. And that year the results were fantastic. So it is to give that praise. And so that's one of the things I would say has been a massive success for us. Something Ofsted commented in last time, but again, only because it's fresh in my mind with this pilot this week, they have gone in to look at those subjects where we've done support and challenge and agreed with what we've said as well. Okay. The next thing we do for quality assurance, and again, that I think has a massive impact, is our CAP process. And again, I do know some of you do the CAPs, but they vary across the sector. I know some colleges do 10 common assessment points or a different number to us. We feel that 5 common assessment points over the 2 years is an appropriate number, because we feel that it gives us time to have the right interventions, and those interventions to have an impact before the next common assessment point. So we ask all our departments to do an induction test when students come in, and then we'll do CAP 1 in October. And then at each assessment point, we produce reports that are based on effort grade and the teacher expected grade. And then anyone who flags to us as a concern, so say if they have like 3 grade 3 effort grades or 3 fails, they are timetabled to come and see a senior member of staff, and we call it CAP intervention day. So letters go home to parents, and parents can come in and we see everyone. And then we ask departments to put things in place, and then that's reviewed at CAP 2. At CAP 3, we do the same, but it's more intense. So if you are identified as one of those students on CAP 3, which is done in June, then you'll have a progression meeting. And as a result of that, you may be asked to leave. You might be asked to restart. You might drop a course and pick something up in a year, or we'll amend your programme and be really flexible with some of the things that we can do there. When one of the questions I was worried about when we first got Ofsteded was that Ofsted were going to say you're manipulating results because you come to progression and you restart students and you put them on the BTECs, etc. And that isn't what we do. We just have a look at what's best for that student. So it might be they restart on an A-level programme. It might be that they do sociology in a year alongside the 2 subjects that they're doing, or they can move their BTECs from a diploma to an extended diploma. But we are really creative in some of the ways we adapt the students' study programme. And that continues into year 13, where we do a CAP 4, and we've literally just done the CAP 5 and the interventions to make sure for that final push to the exams, any interventions are taking place. We also, from the CAPs, for all the students across college, for any student identified, we offer a cross-college study skills workshop. So if you are underachieving but you're getting a high effort grade, you'll go to study skills that is done by our teaching and learning team, and some of our ex-students come in to help them and discuss some of the strategies that worked for them. In terms of lesson observations, and just because it was quality assurance, I've not got a lot to say on that, but we don't usually use it as a tool for quality assurance unless it's in support and challenge. It is really more a tool of self-reflection, self-development, looking at what you can do to improve your teaching and learning, and see what you want to do. Obviously, if there were concerns, you would pick those up, but we don't do you only have to be seen once every 2 years. We look at results as a whole with those student perceptions, of course, in our common data sheets. And the same with PMRs. I do think we probably have a lighter touch than many other institutions. We don't link it to pay. We ask staff to go away and think about their own targets. And then if they want a meeting or their manager wants a meeting, they can have one. But if they don't want a meeting, if it's someone they see every day and it feels like a falsity, then they don't have to have that. Obviously, if they're getting ALPS 8 and they haven't addressed that in their targets, then the line manager will flag that up and ask for a meeting. But usually we find making staff accountable works for us, and staff's targets are usually in line with what we would have pointed out on the quality improvement plan and the common data sheets. I can't show you this because of our systems, but I could only show you the overview for SPOCs. But when you go into Power BI for our student perceptions, of course, all staff can see everyone in their department's SPOCs, and they can click on all the questions that we ask, and they can see them in line with everyone else in their department. So I don't go round going to people, your SPOCs are low. I don't need to, because our staff are brilliant. They can see it themselves. They'll look and they can see where they rank in their department and on what question. So if they are, so SPOC is a student perception, of course. It's like your student survey. So we put those out and then we collate all that evidence together, and then it's out. We have scores out of 5 for all the questions that Ofsted would ask students, and each teacher is rated. So if you're gold, you're in the top 10%, and then we work down from there. So staff like it, so they can see what areas do students think I need to work on, or if they look at the department and they're not getting as high scores as someone else, they can go and speak to someone else about what they're doing and what strategies they can do. But as I say, it has to be used holistically, and that's why it's a great tool. And if someone was getting under 4 in a SPOC, we would intervene. But someone could be getting average SPOCs, but amazing results because they could be quite strict. Well, that's absolutely fine. Someone could get in really high SPOCs, but not teaching or assessing as rigorously as you'd want to. So you'd have to look at the results again in line with those. So, but it's just another thing. It's an effective tool for us to look at. Okay, and again, we do that across college for everyone. I'll move on, and like I said, I'll do all the questions at the end. I know I've tried to fit in quite a lot into this. So the next one is our approach to CPD. In terms of CPD, one of our main things, we don't get staff to go out and do loads of external courses. Now, obviously, if they want to, they can, and if they suggest anything, then we'll support it. But we have 2 things that really we feel are effective. One of them is our bite-size sessions. So what we do is from lesson observations and results and things that might happen in the sector, we say, right, this year we're going to focus on these areas. And then every Tuesday morning for a term, we have a half-an-hour session with someone who we've identified as really good in that area to present on a certain topic. And that's on Teams. And it's on Teams so people can do it from their work base. Everything's recorded so that if they can't make it, then they can watch that recording at any time. Also, if you're a new member of staff, you can go back and look at last year's bite size. And we say that everyone needs to attend 2, but you can go to as many as you want. So quite a lot of our staff, because it's only for a term, will attend most of them. So like you can see there, I just picked some examples of ones that we'd looked at this time. Obviously, AI is, people are looking at how they're using AI effectively in lessons, how you're using tutorials, using, transgender update we did, using AI in BTEC and A-level, high grades, questioning, and so we cover everything that we think is relevant. And feedback on this has been brilliant. So since we introduced it a few years ago, staff said this is one of the most valuable things that they found. And we do get external presenters in where we feel that that's appropriate. We also, our teaching and learning team will suggest creative ways of doing CPD. So, for example, a couple of years ago when metacognition courses were everywhere, we sent one of our teaching and learning team to do this course, and the feedback was brilliant. So what we did was we did a metacognition course with groups of our staff, but it was so popular, we ended up with like 100 staff wanting to do it. So we did it. We did it over 2 years so that everyone could do this course, because we felt we couldn't do metacognition in one half-an-hour bite size. So each member of staff had to do 6 sessions and a project and then report their findings back to myself, but that was over the 2 years. So we do things in-house. One of the key successful things that we do that really works well for us is our examiner scheme. So what we say to staff is we really want, and I save a lot of my budget, my CPD budget for this, is that we say to staff, we really want you to mark for the exam boards. That's the best CPD that you can get. And obviously, years ago, staff were saying to us, we just don't have the time. So we give them the time and we give them more money as well. So we allow them up to 20 hours working from home. We don't say that they can cancel lessons or anything. They can work within the department and there can be cover if the head of department agrees and they can do it back for them, or they can do it at a time when they're not teaching that year group. They can also mark in college if they have no classes. It's up to them. We top up their payment that they will get from the exam board. And we also make sure that their teacher release voucher that they would get from the exam board get sent to the department, so the department can invest in more resources. The conditions of it is that they share the information with the department, so they have to do a session for their department on what they've found marking that series and things that they want to implement for the resources going forward. And obviously they have to mark for the board and the exam being taught at our college so that it has that benefit. And we do it across the board for A-level, BTEC, our T-level and our GCSE, and that has a massive impact on results. And when I've compared our ALPS and our data for those that have examiners in the departments compared to those that don't, there are key differences there. So something I would strongly encourage. And then the final thing I was asked to look at was our GCSE maths and English and our resit strategies. So I just put our English and maths pass rates on and how we compare to other sixth form colleges. We are really proud of this, especially considering our feeder schools are fantastic. So all the schools in our area, our feeder schools have really, really high Progress 8 scores. So for us to add value onto that and to get those results is really impressive. We're also seeing, this isn't necessarily on the results, but more of our students this year have come to us to say we've passed, but we want to get the next grade up. So could they still go into a GCSE resit class, which I've not seen before, but obviously that's fine. So how we do that, we have a very individualised learning strategy for both English and maths. So even though there's a block of teaching assigned to both, we ask that one of those lessons can be individualised. So maths, I think, again, this is well known across the sector, use the Maths Watch. And so students can focus on the areas that they need to work on. And English use something called Bedrock. And again, that allows students to look at the areas they need to focus on. With English as well, we noticed that we had a lot more EAL students. And so we allocated some of our additional learning support to our English department so that they could take out those groups of learners where appropriate and support them with the course. We obviously, like we've done the November, so our class sizes are small now. And we sometimes we collapse the odd class, but we keep them as small as possible, especially if we've got the staff in, so we can have that more one-to-one tailored support from January to the summer, so that they stand the best chance of passing in the summer exams. Again, our staff are both in English and maths are examiners, and we get the best teachers teaching GCSE maths. Now, sometimes, obviously, we want them for level 3 as well, but we've got fantastic staff across the board in those departments. So we make sure the specialists in that area. And again, even if it came to it and we needed them to teach level 3, we'd probably pay them to teach on the GCSE because they're that good. We'd ask them to teach over and above. But I would say that's been the key to our success for our English and maths. I can see loads of questions have come through on those. Ben, I know you're talking about the account manager stuff. Do you want me to answer my questions and then hand over to you?
Yeah, you can do, Vicky. Yeah. Do you want me to shout them out for you? There's a couple that were kind of around the presentation, things like that that have been answered.
Yeah.
But we've got one from Jamie here around CAPS. So I love CAPS. Has this contributed to improved value added?
Oh, massively, yeah, definitely, in so many ways, because first of all, we run our CAPS as well, I should have said, like an exam. So our exams team are involved. It's set up, they're going to the sports hall, they're doing it as though they would do any other exam. They're doing mock papers. So they're prepared for what's coming. And then because of the interventions and that everything's happened since, then yeah, it's had a massive difference on our results.
Great, thank you, Vicky. I've got a question here from Tracy. So how do you find the engagement with this? How do you track who is engaged? Do you test them? And that's in relation to the CPD that you talked about.
Yeah, we do track them. So because it's online and it's on Teams, obviously you have that attendance list, so that goes straight to HR. And our HR department tracks how many each member of staff has done and if they've done their two. And that also, once you've done your CPD, it fills into our PMR system. So when you come to do your PMR, it lists all your training. But staff are really engaged, and usually I'll go out with like 7 sessions, and then as we carry on, staff will come to us with more ideas that they want. So we always end up adding up to like 13 sessions every year. And then I put a stop to it because I don't want it to, die down now when it's exams. So I just think I'll save that for next year. But no, staff are really engaged. And they also, because of the bite size and that they loved that they had that time before work to spend on teaching and learning, they were asking for a teaching and learning group. So I said it wasn't really right for me to be involved in that part. So the teaching and learning team have set up an informal teaching and learning group that meets once a half term, and they put a theme together like AI or stretching challenge, and people can go and they can share ideas. And again, we usually have 35 people turn up to that, and different people each time. So yeah, touch wood, it works really well.
Great stuff, thank you. We've got a question from Simon. So you mentioned Bedrock for GCSE English and something else that you use for GCSE Maths. What was that called? And are there any links to this?
It's called Maths Watch. I can send Ben a link, but yeah, for both of them, if you just put them in Google, you can easily sign up for those. But I'll send them to Ben for you. And they are great. That Bedrock has made a massive difference to our English GCSE, because students can really focus on what it is they need to do, and it sets you work for your different levels. So each student feels like they're achieving as well. So I really, really have been impressed with that one, the Bedrock.
Brilliant. We've got another question from Jamie again. So how many delivery hours do you set aside for GCSE English and Maths?
The same as we would for the A level. So each week you've got 4 hours and 40 minutes. But one of those sessions it's still taught session, but we just direct it to say, instead of it being for the whole class, can you make sure there's a lot of differentiation, or they're using the Maths Watch, or they're using Bedrock, or they've got extra support in those lessons.
Okay, thank you. And from Simon, you mentioned use of Power BI to analyse results and SPOCs. What's your experience of this been like? Is it easy to use? How do you get started?
Well, I'm not going to lie and say that I created the data. So our IS team, they created the common data sheet for us. In terms of my experience using it, it's been amazing, like brilliant that I can have a live interactive common data sheet, so I can get behind that data, and it's great to see it all on one sheet. But if I actually want to go in to see a member of staff who maybe their results aren't as high as everyone else's, I can actually go in, look at the students, look at who isn't, were there any particular students causing issues, tie that in with the pastoral logs. So from my end, it's been brilliant. Our IS team, again, I think they find it better. I think obviously it takes a while to set up a system, but they prefer it to what we had previously, which was a lot more I guess manual, and I think this they said that Power BI works better with all of our other systems. Again, some of you will use Cedar. We have Cedar, so it works well with that if anyone uses it.
It's great, thanks Vicky. And we actually use that in AQA Power BI as well. It is a really useful tool, so definitely would echo that. It's worth having a look at if you're not using that already. I think that's all the questions that we've got for now, Vicky. Does anyone else have any questions? If we give you a sort of moment or so, if there's anything else that anyone would like to ask, then please do put that in the chat now. It doesn't look like there's anything coming in right now, Vicky. So if you want to just take us on to the last slide. So this just really to introduce the AQA account management team. So my name is Ben Galvin. I'm the account manager for the Northwest, but we are a field-based team. So there is an account manager in each territory. We typically would meet with members of SLT. So often our meetings would be with curriculum deputies, whoever's got that kind of overarching responsibility for curriculum and assessment within a centre. But we do also meet with heads of department at subject level, exams officers sometimes. So the kind of meetings we have are varied, and the agenda is flexible and will change depending on who we're meeting with and what time of year. So, for example, we do a lot around kind of supporting with results analysis in the autumn term. You know, if centres are looking to switch to AQA, then we support with that. Equally, if centres are kind of have any concerns or are looking for sort of some more support with the delivery of AQA qualifications, then we support with that. So essentially, our remit is to offer support and guidance with the delivery of AQA qualifications. The meetings that we offer are free of charge, and we offer both face to face and over Teams, depending on your preference. So there's a QR code there that will take you through to where your local, or so you can see the team. I'm just going to quickly share my screen as well, so I can just show you where you will find that page on the website. So hopefully everyone can see that. So if you go in via contact us, if you're on the main kind of AQA landing page, and you'll see this box here, meet with your local account manager. If you click through on that, you will see the team, and you can see who the account manager is in your particular region. We used to have mugshots there. I think we're just in the process of replacing those, but might be for the best because that, you know, might have put you off. But if I just use mine as an example, there's a link there that takes you through to a Microsoft bookings form, and you can basically then just sort of have a look at when we're available. There's just a few fields to fill in around, you know, who you are, what you'd like to discuss, that kind of thing. And basically you can self-serve and book a 45-minute Teams meeting. We do, as I say, offer face-to-face as well. So if you prefer a kind of face-to-face meeting, then that's something that you can just drop an email, and we're always happy to come in and meet you in person as well. So if there's anything that you're looking for any support with, if a meeting would be useful, then please do get in touch with us. I'm going to just put a link to that as well in the chat. One of the things that we are kind of will be supporting with towards the back end of the summer term, people may be aware of this now, that we are replacing the enhanced results analysis with a new system called Data Insights. It will have all of the same functionality that is already there in the enhanced results analysis, but with some additional functionality as well, and a kind of different look and feel. So again, if that's something that you would like to arrange a meeting with your account manager to discuss that in a bit more detail, happy to kind of come in and offer kind of training for your heads of department, that kind of thing. So please do reach out. We are there to support you, and as I say, it is free of charge. So that's the account managers. If there's not seen any other questions coming in, so just want to kind of thank everyone really for dialing on this afternoon. Hope it's been a useful session. Vicky, that was excellent and really interesting from my point of view, and hopefully people have got lots of things there that they can take away. So as I said, if there are any further support you're looking for, please do get in touch with your local account manager. Always happy to come out and meet with you in person or over Teams. Vicky, was there anything that you wanted to add before we close?
No, just I'll send you those things, Ben, the Bedrock and MathWatch links.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, and thanks for that, Vicky. So yeah, with that, I think if there's no more questions, then we'll give you 15 minutes back. But thanks for attending this afternoon, and enjoy your evenings and your Easter break when it arrives. Thank you.